Another week of college football. We welcome you to the program, the one program where it really does matter that Miami is now ranked higher than USC. Hi, everybody. Welcome to College Kickoff, brought to you by the UFCW. Frank Frangie, Heisman winner Gino Torretta, five-time Pro Bowler Tony Baselli, who's not very happy right now.
That really hurts. I mean, do we have to start the show like that? Now, it's much closer in the Coaches Poll than the AP, so I'm going to go with the Coaches Poll right now.
Where's your sling at? You break your arm patting yourself on the back talking about how great your Trojans are every week. It's good to see, you know. Get brought back down to earth a little bit.
Now, I remind you that it's early. Very early.
Look at that. Dr. Pepper fired Tony and Frank.
And it's a Gino Torretta that I didn't know where you went to school before. Now Miami wins the game all of a sudden. And now I know where you went to school. We got to get a shot of this. Now they beat Florida State. Can we get a little shot at all the jewelry here? There's the ring for the national championship. Did you see the cuff link? I want to make sure we get the cuff link. Tony, the team played last week. I didn't even see if your alma mater played.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't notice the game.
It was a late game. The game wasn't on the East Coast, thankfully for Tony.
Now, forever, people say Ohio State and other teams in the Big Ten aren't fast enough. They say the fast teams are in the South and the West. But do those teams get a bad rap? Well, our guys take on that topic on TNT.
Ohio State has got a huge game this weekend against Southern Cal. They haven't won a big game since 2002. Tony, is the conference just too slow to compete on the national spotlight in the top five?
Well, I know you and I have talked about this, and you think it's way too early to jump to that conclusion. Give these guys a chance. I say they've had the chance.
UFC was cost a shot at the national championship last year just because they played in the Pac-10. The Big Ten, you know, you got Penn State and Ohio State, they get lifted up. And if anybody plays in the SEC, if you even got a halfway decent record, you know, you're supposed to get thrown into a BCS championship. Well, there's no chance coaches are doing enough. I think I need to put my sunglasses on, though, because my partner here might start eye gouging me because he doesn't think there's anything wrong with what Brandon Spikes did in the Georgia game.
I never said there was nothing wrong.
You said put on some flags around your waist.
Well, you're a quarterback. You don't want to get touched, but that's a whole nother topic for another day.
The NCAA has told its refs to call it closer and to call late hits and sometimes to go over the top. Guys, last week, this was over the top. Tony, you saw this play. They called this early on. Everybody can kind of live with that, all right? It may be a late hit, may not. It was a hard-hitting game, but later on in the game, this was a late hit called on Rashad Jones. There's no way this is a penalty.
This is an awful call. The first one I understand, the defender led with his helmet, and that's what they're looking at, the helmet-to-helmet contact. Right here's a clean, good football play. It's a forearm, a shoulder. His head is out of the hit. If you take that away from the defense, I'm not sure how these guys are supposed to tackle people and get people down. Football is a violent sport. It's full speed. You get after it. And when you go over the middle, you have to allow the secondary to put some fear into the receivers. Otherwise, all bets are off.
Who to watch for the Heisman Trophy? Gino, let's start with your guy. You love this running back out of California.
Well, I think Javid Best. I mean, he had a great game against Maryland. I'm not sure how good Maryland is, but anytime you can average over 10 yards a carry, I mean, he showed the speed and explosiveness, leading returning rusher from 2008. Tim Tebow here, basically a scrimmage game. Tebow and McCoy are going to get hurt. They have 2 games at the start of the season, and they're basically scrimmages.
All right, let's get to the South. Georgia and South Carolina.
Well,
how's that game?
Well, these two teams used to be power teams. I think they're fighting for their lives in 2009. Whichever one of these teams loses this game is looking to 2010. The offense for South Carolina, no more fun and gun. And Georgia, they have to find that guy more and often, A.J. Green. But Joe Cox did not find him enough against Oklahoma State.
Gino, how hard is it for guys that are not in the spotlight to start the season to make up ground? Can Max Hall win the Heisman Trophy if he has good enough numbers, with everybody knowing so much about Tebow and McCoy, even if Bradford's down for a while?
Well, it's going to be tough, but Max Hall, he started off on the right foot. He beat Oklahoma. Nobody expected him to do that. 2 weeks, they play Florida State. That's another step. The question is will he have any other national spotlight opportunities later in the season? Their conference doesn't bode well. They play at 10 or 11 o'clock Eastern. Most of the time, I know I'm in bed by the time they're playing, so the voters aren't seeing him.
But this is what's going to help them, is the fact that BYU has a chance to be that non-BCS conference team to be in the national spotlight. And they can thank Boise State and Utah for that. And if BYU can be that team, Max Hall be their quarterback, trust me, people will start recognizing his name, and he will get votes at the end of the year.
All right, when the fellows go head-to-head in TNT, which they do every week, they'll talk about conferences and which conferences there are to watch. And is BYU the team that is sort of under the radar? Can a team from that league make its presence felt? TNT is up next.
This portion of UFCW College Kickoff is brought to you by the UFCW, a voice for working America.
Have you ever noticed how hard folks work to make life just right for you? In so many workplaces, members of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union are working for you. They are North America's neighborhood union, with more than 1.3 million members standing together to ensure fair wages, healthcare costs, and respect on the job. To learn more about the UFCW and a working voice in your workplace, log on to ufcw.org. The UFCW, fighting to protect the middle class and to give you the American dream.